All right, let's get started. Let's get this gun into Unreal Game Engine. And we're going to try to make it look as similar as we can here that we're seeing here in Substance Painter. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder on the desktop. I can see here it's called Playmaker and there's nothing in it right now. I'm going to go ahead and export out. If I don't have my mesh, I can just go export mesh and I'm going to uncheck apply triangulation and export it. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that it's in the correct folder. Here it is, and I'll just call this Play Maker, and I'm going to have this as an FBX. FBX underscore Playmaker. There we go. And now I'm going to do the materials. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go File, Export Textures, and I want to make sure that it's going in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. There it is. I'll select folder. Yep, that looks good. And on the output template, I'm going to set this and I'm going to scroll up or down. I mean, obviously depending where you are. And I'm going to choose Unreal Engine 4 Packed. Okay. Now you'll notice that there's two of them. This SSS, that stands for Subsurface Scattering. That basically means if you have skin, but I'm going to go to this one, Unreal Engine 4 Packed. Now I'm good. I can see that if I click on this, I can see that it's going to shoot out a base color, metallic, and a normal and emissive. And actually this one here, this is going to be our ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic. And that's going to be our packed map. We're going to talk about that later and what that is all about. I'll go ahead and hit export, and you'll notice that the name of it's kind of messy. If I didn't want that, I'll show you how to clean that up. I can see here. Now I would be fine. I don't like those messy names, so I'm just going to delete that and go do it again. And if I go like this, File, Export Textures, once again, Unreal Engine 4 Packed, I could say, you know what? I'm going to go to this template. So here's output templates, and I'm going to find Unreal Engine 4 Packed. Now this is basically saying that it's going to dynamically fill in the mesh name and the texture set. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm just going to call this Play Maker, the name of the file, and I'll copy this. So I deleted all that stuff before it. Now it's going to be Playmaker underscore base color. And then for this one, I'm just going to delete this and paste that on there. And now I feel like it'll be cleaner. This is not, not critical that you do this, but I just think it'll be a little bit cleaner. So if I go back to settings here, now if I click on this, I can see that that's my naming is a little bit cleaner there. And I'll go ahead and export that again, making sure that it's to the Playmaker. There we go. So I'll export that, and I can see that that's much, much cleaner. Now, if I look at that, here's my maps. You'll notice that I only have 4 maps. I have a color, an emissive, which is basically the glow, the normal map, which is going to be kind of the extra bump detail, and then I have this really weird one, okay, this occlusion, roughness, and metallic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug those in, and then I'm going to kind of show you what that is. Actually, why don't I do this? I'm going to open up Photoshop, and I'm going to look at what that is right now, because that one looks really weird. We're probably not used to such weird colors on that occlusion, roughness, and metallic. So I'm just going to go ahead and let Photoshop launch, and then I'm going to talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll File, Open, and I'm going to go to Playmaker. Here it is. Open this up. And okay, great. So what the heck is this? Well, if I look at my channels, I can see that it's broken down into the red, green, blue channels. And what they're doing here is they're actually putting in different maps here. So this is the, I believe this is the ambient occlusion map. This is the metallic map. And this is the roughness map. So, and then when you combine all of those up, it looks like this. Now, we are never going to care about the color of this. I mean, the color is just completely bogus. That's just how it's doing it. But really, we have 3 different maps. And if you kind of picture these 3 different maps as, I mean, these are just grayscale maps that are hidden or packed into the channels of the file. And that's where it gets its name from. It says it was Unreal Engine 4 packed. And this is what a packed map means. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those and I'm going to go into Unreal. So I just went to the launcher, the Epix Game Launcher, and I'm going to go down here to Games, click Next, and I'm going to just say third person. Okay. Now, even though this is a gun, this isn't a gun that he's meant to hold or anything. It's just meant to bring in an object and get the materials on. So I'll go like this, and I'll just leave this up, or leave this kind of at default, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Project. Now, this should open up Unreal, and then I'm going to go ahead and import my textures and my object. And once again, hopefully get it as similar as to Substance as I can. Okay, great. So I'm still, this is Unreal Engine 4. 5 is still out, or is out currently, well, the time of this recording, but I think that, I know that this one's stable. In other words, that I know that this is going to work here, so I feel like I don't like to do a lot of testing when something just comes out. So let's take a look at this. Down here, I can go to Add Import. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go to New Folder. And I'm going to call this Gun. Okay, great. And if I double click on that, now I can import my stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to import an asset into this. So I'll go here and I'm going to go to Import Asset into Game. And now I'm going to go ahead and find it. So I know it's on the desktop. And the first thing I'm going to do is bring this in. Now I could grab all of this, but I just want to bring this in by itself and make sure that everything's okay with this. So I'm going to go ahead and just basically leave this alone. One thing though that I do want to point out is, and it's kind of hidden here, some of these, notice these middle arrows. Sometimes I want to open these up and make sure it's coming in as one mesh. So for example, this one here, I'm going to say combine meshes because the gun is actually made up of several different pieces. And if I don't do combined meshes, it's going to come in like as 30 different objects. Okay, maybe the trigger and then the handle and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to hit combine meshes and I'll hit import. And that's why I don't like to import the materials, is because I want to make sure that the model comes in fine. Okay, now I can drag this model into the scene, tap spacebar a couple times, and then I can grab the middle one and now I can scale it up. And I'm just going to scale it kind of bigger so I can kind of see what's going on. I can always scale it down later. And now I can see that it came in and it obviously does not have any materials on yet. So I'm going to import the textures. I'll go right here and I'm just going to go to Import Asset. And I'm going to grab all of these now and click Open. Now I can see that it's importing and they'll soon show up right here in my gun folder in Unreal. Excellent. Now, I want to draw your attention to something. This teal line under this icon indicates that it's a static mesh. In other words, it's a geometry. And then I can see the red line here indicates that it's a texture. And that star in the corner indicates that it's not saved yet. Okay. Now, I'm going to select the geometry here. And if I go to details, I can see that here's its material. Okay. And, okay. I could double click on the material. Oh, that's not actually the material. That was material for something else. But I can just do this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say a new material. So right here, here's my new material. Now I just created a material and I'm going to call this Playmaker material. Okay, and I can drag and drop this on here, and now I can see that this static mesh has the Playmaker material. And if I double click on Playmaker material, I can see that it opens up the material attribute editor. And if I middle mouse drag or right mouse click, I can kind of move around in here. And the first thing I can see is base color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my base color, drag it and drop it here. And now this is the red, green, blue channel. And these are the specific channels, the red channel, the green, the blue, and the alpha. And this is red, green, blue, and the alpha. So for this one, I want all of this color to go into the base color. So I'm going to go from here to here. And now it's going to connect that. And you can see that it shows up here. Now if I wanted to preview this in something else, like a square or something, I could change, or actually this is the lighting modes, but I could go in here and I could go down here and I could grab like a cube or something, and now I can see what it looks like. I think I'll just leave it as a sphere. That's fine, even though it's not very representative of what I want. That's okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is plug in the emissive. So you can see here it says emissive color. I'm going to go ahead and drag this on here. And now I can drag this RGB into emissive. Okay, great. You'll notice that it's also not updating in our scene here. That's because it's not saved yet. You can see here I can save the material once I'm done. Now I'm going to put in the next map here. And this is the special one. This is the one that has the occlusion, roughness, and metallic. And remember what I said? Those are packed in the different channels. And because we want to access those channels, we have to do something special. I'm going to double click on this. And in here, I'm going to uncheck sRGB. Now when I uncheck that, I'm going to now hit save. And now what that's going to do, it's going to allow us to use those individual channels. And I'll show you how in just a second. So I can go to this tab up here, and now I can grab this and bring it in. Now notice that star went away because when I made an edit and saved it, it is now saved. So that's indicating that these other ones have not been really saved yet. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this in. And now I have my red, green, and blue channel that I have access to. So that's going to be, you can see that this is called occlusion, roughness, and metallic. So that means they're putting in 3 different maps. And here's the easy way to remember this, is you can see here's metallic, roughness, and occlusion. And I have 3 different things here. I'm just going to put it in the opposite order. So red is going to go to ambient occlusion, green is going to go to roughness, and blue is going to go to metallic. Okay, so instead of putting the red up there, then the green, and then the blue, I just kind of reversed it. So the red goes down here, the green goes to roughness, and the blue goes to metallic. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And that should update the material. And now I can see that the material is now applied to the gun. And if I X this out, now we should be getting really a basic translation to exactly what we're seeing in Substance Painter. And I can see all the reflections, the metalness, even the emissive. Let's take a look here. Yep, there's the emissive. That green light is on there. So it looks like we're having a great translation. And if I double click on this, if I had opacity, you can see that opacity is now unchecked, or it's not available right now. What I would have to do is go over here, and you can see here that I can change the blend mode to if I change it to masked, you can see that it allowed me for an opacity mask. Here's additive, okay, but it took a few things out. So I would have to kind of play with this. I believe it would be masked that I would work with, but just so you know, you kind of have to adjust the material to allow it to have transparency. Because I don't have any transparency, I'm not going to be concerned about that. But that's just a quick look at how to bring in your material from Substance Painter into Unreal.